Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today I'm going to be teaching parts of the essay for my Metamorphosis Literature Circle project. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the MLA format. So when you're writing a Krat essay, you must write in MLA format. So this means that the essay should be written in Times New Roman size 12 font. The header should have the assignment number centered, as well as have a footer with the page number and your index number. And your essay should be double spaced, as well as a unique title should be given to this writing. And the title has a format in which it should be written in. Now we're going to talk about the essay format. So the essay is sectioned into three parts: the introduction, the body paragraphs, and the conclusion. In the introduction, it starts off with the hook, which is a extended metaphor, a universal idea, or a theme. Then you have your summary, which is 3 to 4 sentences, which has your main problem, main reaction, main outcome. Then you have your thesis. Your thesis should be formatted in a specific way. Um, and it should be directly related to your text. It shouldn't be something random. Then you have your body paragraphs, your body paragraph number 1, body paragraph number 2, body paragraph number 3. They also have a format in which it should be written in. And then you have your conclusion where you restate your thesis. Your thesis should not be in the formal format that it is in your introduction. It should just be restated, not copied. Then you have your summary of points. Your main arguments should be summarized, your 3 main arguments. Then you have your clincher, which should be an extended metaphor, universal idea, a theme that you can use to end off your essay. This is my piece of text from the novel. I'm going to read it out and then annotate it after. And while Gregor hastily blurted this all out, hardly knowing what he was saying, he easily approached the chest of drawers, probably as a result, probably because of all the practice he has gotten in bed, and now he tried to raise himself up against it. He actually intended to open the door, to actually present himself and speak to the manager. He was eager to find out what the others, who were now so anxious to see him, would say at the sight of him. If they were shocked, then Gregor had no further responsibility and could be calm. But if they took everything calmly, then he too had no reason to get excited and could, if he hurried, actually be at the station by 8 o'clock. So in this text, Gregor is afraid of the manager leaving, which shows the power that the manager holds against both him and his family. The high amount of power that the manager has symbolizes the higher class in their society, which also shows that Gregor and his family are part of the lower class in society. Gregor's purpose lies in the hands of the manager, and it can be taken away at any second, which causes him to live this uniform life where he does everything the same, like not missing work ever, just so that he can maintain his purpose. So in this excerpt from the novel, Gregor is struggling to open the door of his room due to his transformation. Though Gregor is aware of his appearance, he is determined to open the door to see the manager, and it shows that he is aware that once the manager walks out of his room, that he might lose his purpose in life as well as in society. Then Ritter goes on to think that when he opens the door, he worries about what his family would think of him, which shows that he does not have an actual identity as he depends on others to form concerns in his head. This makes him more vulnerable as he is unable to protect himself and maintain his life as it is controlled by the external rather than himself. So he bases his perception of himself he bases his perception of himself on the perception of others. So he doesn't really know what to think about how he looks or his new appearance or his transformation until he finds out the reaction of the rest of his family. Here's my list of textual evidence. The first one I chose was the diction of the monstrous vermin. As soon as he is woken up from his nap, or his sleep, he was called a monstrous vermin, and it juxtaposes the way they described his bedroom as a normal human room or a regular human room. Then we have the understatement where Gregor is worried about being late rather than his transformation. And then we have number 3, symbolism, the manager. The manager symbolizes the elite of their society, and it shows that Gregor and his family are part of the lower class, and they obey the manager's orders to pay off this debt that they owe him. Then the symbolism of the woman in the fur on the magazine, it symbolizes humanity and his past that he's trying to hold on to and return to. Then number 5, symbolism of Gregor's room. Gregor's room symbolizes jail and entrapment as he is literally entrapped in his room and as well figuratively trapped in his room in his head where he has to pick between sticking to the reality that he now has to live in his transformed self or to try and return back to his previous life. Symbolism of the violin. The violin symbolizes Gregor and Greta's relationship as it was first strong and caring, but towards the end forced and not even non-existent. Then it was number seven. I chose interior monologue, where he talks to himself before he walks out of his room. He kind of is confused on how to perceive himself. So he says that he's going to base his perception on the way his family sees him. Then we have the symbolism of the apple thrown at Gregor. This apple thrown at him contributes to his death, and it relates to the story of Adam and Eve when they ate the apple from the forbidden tree. Then we have parallelism for number nine, where Gregor and his father are paralleled. As at first, Gregor was excited about his job, he was working, it was normal, and towards the end, his main focus was to obey his manager and maintain his purpose. And the same thing goes for his father. At first, he was excited, dressed for work, ready in his blue uniform, and towards the end, he kind of slept in his uniform, and his only thought was to maintain his purpose and obey his manager. Number 10, I chose the symbolism of the food that Greta was giving Gregor. The food symbolizes their attitude towards him and their behavior or her behavior towards him. At first, she cared about him, so she would give him good food. And towards the end, she stopped caring about him and she just gave him whatever she thought was good for him or nothing at all. How to deconstruct the thesis. The thesis that I've chosen is discuss the ideas, or the unit topic that I have chosen is discuss the ideas developed by the text creator in your chosen text about how acts of courage develop and nurture personal integrity. So first you look for your STEM words, your keywords, your how or why question, and then you rephrase your thesis. So the STEM words in this unit topic are acts of, develop, and nurture, and the keywords are courage and personal integrity. This question is a how question, and it is indicated clearly in the unit topic. The rephrase thesis is how does acts of courage fail to nurture personal integrity? Then you would list out your problem, reaction, and outcome, or your main problem, reaction, and outcome that the character you have chosen is going through throughout the novel. So Gregor's problem is a loss of purpose. He reacts by failing to commit acts of courage by attempting to regain purpose, and his outcome is leading to a loss of personal integrity. How to write a thesis. So you start off with your transition statement, and you start off by saying through Gregor's experience, or through whatever character you choose to study's experience, the author, so Kafka, develops the idea that is your transition statement, and then it is followed by your thesis, which is when an individual is faced with your problem, one may react by reaction, leading to outcome. So the thesis that I've written for my unit topic is through Gregor's experience, Kafka develops the idea that when an individual is faced with a loss of purpose, one may fail to commit acts of courage by attempting to regain purpose, leading to a loss of personal integrity. How to check a thesis statement for accuracy. So to check if your thesis statement is accurate, you have to have at least 9 pieces of textual evidence to support your thesis. If you do not have textual evidence to support your thesis, then you either have to change your thesis, find different textual evidence, or change the character of study to fit the thesis and textual evidence. If you do not have any textual evidence for your thesis, it has to be changed completely because your thesis statements and your evidence should match up together. So how to fill out the planning page. It starts out by saying the literary text and text creator. So you'll write under that, I will be writing on the genre. So the genre that I'll be writing on is a novel. And then title, The Metamorphosis by the author Franz Kafka. Then in the next part, you're going to be writing, the unit topic is asking the writer to consider, then you rephrase your thesis, and then your character, so my character is Gregor. Gregor's character development helps answer this question because, then your problem, reaction, outcome. Then you would say, I will be using the following textual evidence to support my arguments, and under that, you will be listing all your textual evidence with your literary devices connected to it. How to find an extended metaphor or philosophy for the hook and the clincher. An extended metaphor is often used in essays to make it stronger, so it should be carried out throughout the whole essay to emphasize its importance in relation to the text. So for example, for the metamorphosis, I chose a metaphor, and the metaphor I chose was aging. So I kind of related Gregor's transformation to aging. And I said that aging and Gregor's transformation relate, and aging can be used as a metaphor for Gregor's transformation, as it is what caused him to lose his purpose. As he continued to age, his family began to dehumanize him and starve him until he died. So in this society, we take aging very unseriously. So when someone starts to age, they do lose their purpose in society because they lose the ability to commit to the society and to help out in society because of their age and because of their loss of abilities. And that's kind of what is happening to Gregor. He's losing his ability to have purpose in their society. So he loses his importance, his meaning to the people in his society. And to find an extended metaphor, you find the main thing that is happening throughout the whole entire story. So, throughout the whole entire story, Gregor is transforming and slowly losing his purpose until in the end he loses everything and he dies. And you find one thing that can relate and that goes through the same process. So, aging. So, once you hit that age where you retire and you are unable to contribute to society, you lose all the care that people ever had for you, and you're slowly dehumanized and left alone to die, basically, just like how Gregor was. How to create a summary. A summary should not be too long. It should be a minimum of 3 sentences and a maximum of 4 sentences. It should contain the main problem, reaction, and outcome of the text. So the one that I wrote for the Metamorphosis is shown below. I also wrote a transition statement with it from the hook all the way to the summary. So I said, this is shown in Franz Kafka's The Metamorphosis as Gregor Samsa, a traveling salesman, is faced with the loss of purpose in society. Gregor is dehumanized by his family as he is locked away in his room. As days pass, Gregor dies of starvation and his family celebrates the heavy burden taken off their shoulders. So the main problem is he's faced with a loss of purpose in his society. His main reaction is that he is stuck in his room. His family dehumanizes him by locking away in his room, locking him away, and his outcome is his death and the burden taken off his family's shoulder as they felt as though Gregor was a burden. How to complete an excellent body paragraph. So your body paragraph, you have three. Each body paragraph should contain an argument followed by the supporting evidence, which is then followed by your significance. The significance should be detailed and should answer the questions. How does this affect the character's development and what does it reveal about the character? The evidence should not be too long and a complete copy from the text, or else the essay will turn into a book report rather than an essay. The significance should also relate back to the thesis, or else it would be wrong. So, for example, your problem would be loss of purpose for your problem in your thesis. Your whole first paragraph, all of its significance should relate to the loss of purpose. If it does not, then your whole essay would be wrong and you would start at a 60%. 2 tips to write an insightful essay is to always focus on the figurative interpretation rather than the literal interpretation, and always make sure to never mess up the order of the text. Your essay should always be in chronological order, or else the essay would be wrong or considered to be having a gap if you miss any textual evidence or any points or events that happen in the story. That's very important. The next thing we're going to talk about is this essay right here, or this essay rubric. I'm going to explain it. So first, they're marked on 5 categories where you can score excellent, proficient, satisfactory, limited, or poor. If you score poor, you basically did it completely wrong, and if you scored it excellent, you did it completely right. So you're marked on thought and understanding, supporting evidence, form and structure, matters of choice, and matters of correctness. So thought and understanding is how effective the ideas relate to the assignment. So if your assignment is correct, and if you're not off topic, you should score an excellent. Your essay should also be very insightful, and it should demonstrate all your literary texts, literary devices, as well as it should be explained. Literary devices will strengthen your essay and help you score that excellence. Supporting evidence is your evidence that you use to support your main arguments. Your evidence have to be clear, your evidence have to be correct. If it is incorrect, then you would not score very well. If it's correct, properly written, very good quality, and if it completely relates to the topic, you should score your excellence. Then your form and structure, so your essay format and structure, if it is not written properly and your essay format is mixed together where your conclusion is where your second body paragraph should be, you wouldn't score too high in this section. But if everything is unified and everything goes together and the tone of your essay is working together to unify it and make it perfect, then you should score that excellence. Matters of choice, so matters of choice of words, the tone in which you're portraying your essay. This is where you're marked on. If you score your excellent, then you use good vocab, so your diction is precise. You have a good tone of voice. The voice that you're using to interpret your essay is really good. And it's very powerful, which makes your essay sound better. Then matters of correctness, you have your sentence construction, your usage of words, your grammar, and your mechanics. So this is on your punctuation, your spelling, your capitalization, your grammar, which is very important, your consistency of tense, your usage. So using words in the correct context and not in the wrong context, as well as sentence construction. So your sentences have to be complete and correctly written to score that excellence. If you fail to meet any of these standards, then you would score below the excellent in the proficient, satisfactory, limited, or poor. If you note that if you score poor, then you basically did not have any of this correct. Then we're going to talk about this essay written right here. This essay scored a satisfactory on for the diploma. I'm going to discuss the main problems that this essay had. So this essay was missing a couple of things. So to start off, their clincher was not bad. Their hook, was not bad. It was good. It was um, very direct, a universal idea on how desires can be powerful. It can take over and cause people to have anger, jealousy, lust, or even death, and that they're very emotional and powerful. And it also continues to have a summary, a good summary, and then the biggest problem that it has over here in the introduction is that it does not contain a thesis. And that's a huge problem because when you miss out on a thesis, your mark automatically starts from a 60%, which is really not good. So having a thesis is very important because it basically outlines your whole essay and it tells the marker what you're going to be talking about in each body paragraph. The second thing that they're missing is a title. This person did not add their title for their paragraph, for their essay, which also makes you lose marks. And also, the third thing that was wrong in this essay is that this person is talking about multiple people in their essay rather than their one character of study, which is incorrect. You should choose one person to discuss in your whole essay. And this person chose to talk about three, as well as their body paragraphs were very, very short. And sentence structure was not very well. And sentence structure was also, sentences were very short, paragraphs were very short. For example, right here in the second paragraph, first body paragraph, it says, in particular, when Roderigo ambushed Cassio, Lago killed Roderio, who was trusting him and doing his dirty work. So basically, in this whole essay, it is not an essay where they describe the literary devices and explain the essay and the meaning of the essay and the meaning of what's happening in the story or in the text that they have read, but rather it feels like it's a book report where they basically just list out everything that happened in the whole entire story, which is incorrect. Then we go to their conclusion, which they also do not have a good brute phrase thesis, but it has their three main arguments. So right here, people may do things that they know are morally wrong in order to meet these desires. So then it says here, this play in particular also shows the negative side of ambition and where it can go wrong compared to when it is commonly shown as beneficial. While following through on our decisions can often be a good thing, it can also lead us to making unfortunate choices. While the results likely will not be as catastrophic as they end up in Othello, we can betray our morals and do things we know are not right for our ambition. So some of the things that she's saying, like the words our, are not supposed to be used. Because they are first person, and this essay is not supposed to be written in first person, and she shouldn't or he shouldn't relate the essay to themselves. So their opinion doesn't really matter. They're basically supposed to explain the meaning behind the text that they're writing on. As well as the clincher is not a universal idea or an extended metaphor. It talks about the text that they're writing on as well, which is also incorrect. And the main wrong thing about all their body paragraphs is that it's written as if it was a book report. So it just talks about the main events that happen rather than what it reveals about the character or what it shows about or how this event impacts the character, which is also incorrect. So for example, right here, while Cassio did very little to anyone the entire play, Lago managed to convince all the key characters to hate him. Lago and Roderigo themselves both harbored a very large amount of hate towards Othelio and used his short fuse to their advantage when Lago frames Cassio's affair by putting. So basically, in this whole paragraph, they're just telling what happens in the whole entire story. So the whole essay is basically a summary of what happened. And that's incorrect because you have to show significance evidence. They have a lot of evidence and it shows their main arguments, but it doesn't show the significance in what it reveals and shows about the character, which is incorrect because it is missing a whole component, which is why this person scored satisfactory rather than proficient or excellent. So you right here it says this of course leads to the tragic ending where Othelio is tricked into killing his very faithful and loving wife, and upon learning of her innocence, he throws himself upon his sword. So it's just telling what happened in the story, which is wrong, because it's supposed to show what it reveals and what it shows and how it impacts one character instead of three characters. So this essay did not score very well. And that's it for my presentation. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.